Germans call it rebellion, Sokehs Rebellion. But we Pohnpeians, we don't call it rebellion.
Ikamerle momokit lautuo, ebit Pohnpei, o magtaibang ko saya history and Pohnpei, Sokehs Rebellion banutan we ay chapter nan history book and Pohnpei.
In September 1910, just a month before events began unfolding, something occurred in the ruins of Nanmadol that seemed ominous for Sokehs.
Well, when they were constructing Nanmadol, they were not only few people in Nanmadol constructing the city. They were from all over the islands. And Sokehs were assigned a section of the walls. Metalanim is assigned to some section, Kitri, and they were all divided up. So Sokehs Corner was the one that collapsed. And so that was then they said that was the omen that something bad was going to happen to Sokehs because that was their corner.
Germany had claimed possession of Micronesia 11 years earlier. The German government felt that it was high time that its island colonies became a productive part of the empire. Gustav Bader, the newly appointed German governor, initiated a series of public improvement projects. The people of Pohnpei were to begin a mandatory road building project. Sokehs was selected as a place where the project would begin.
Men seman kan nirai koto sangai royata me sansal kita wewe keran word ilok itit irail man wiyahal rekasaneti me all man me temana ka man me kailail aban totok ran isak lemau dan pare wiyakia ya atonement to public service.
During the construction of the road in Sokehs, the road construction reached a point right past by the Protestant church now today in Sokehs Poa, in Winsane. The road construction was somewhat helpful in the sense that these people would work and then they would be given flour, food, rice and stuff like that.
Mia one morning German Marx kilal tiyang ulaya so matawan sa kos and yangal we are assistant supervisor me tana Marx payo teda.
The man chosen by the Germans to supervise the Sokehs workers was Somatau.
Yeah, Somatau Sokehs is his title. But he was the leader of the people who were constructing the road, appointed by the Germans. He was originally from Metalani. He is of the Tipun Panmay clan.
Tipun Panmay, they are the Namarville Metalani until today. Well, Somatau is a warrior he's got a band of young men that went around. He fought in several battles around Bombay.
So matawin sa boss. Every year, so payment, more men say mana, led to Bombay. Nan mo in Spain, esan sal mo April younger, more kayo mo yawi. Nan buwan mo in Bombay, o men Spain ka.
It was not long before trouble arose between Sokehs and the German government.
I heard about Wasai coming to this governor and asking him to increase the salary of his people. And this governor didn't want to pay attention to him.
And so matatok wiya moment wasay o sa mataw para to chuwang governor po Iran paki poinan ya tonto to ay rong me governor kana sikane isang wasay nan officer eso to pungi eso to mo ito aleta but we are market no more we wasay.
At that time, Sokehs didn't have any number. The highest title of Sokehs was Wasai.
Sokehs at that time included all of Nech as well as Palikir, although Palikir was at that time still autonomous. The Germans were demanding, sometimes employing physical punishment in dealing with local people.
Seven men German we are corporal punishment we are orang ketiman. Karyao we are later.
There was a man named Latelang who used to commute to work from Ipal, from the end of Sokehs up to the construction site. And then every day he would stop by director of the public work project. He called him Olbon. Olbon was married to a Pohnpeian woman. This Pohnpeian woman was very attractive, half Pohnpeian, half Menwai.
She was very young when these things were happening. The story has it that she died 1974.
And this Latelang, Pohnpeian guy would come up and, ask for drinking water and then would talk to the lady. And that irritates Olbon because he doesn't want this guy to be talking to his wife. But for some reason, almost every day when this guy comes to work, he would stop by, ask for drinking water, ask for water, and then talk to the lady. So it got to a point where Olbon couldn't take it anymore. So he wrote a note and gave it to Latelang and asked Somadown Sokehs to take Latelang to the governor's office here in Colonial. So they did. Took the note. Somadown Sokehs took Latelang with him on a canoe, came up here and went to the governor's office.
But others offer a slightly different version of the story.
At night when he would sneak into her room to see her, she would not be there. And after inquiring, he found out that Ladala was the guy who was coming in and taking the girl away.
October 1910. Olborn Katarato Latalang Ren Kapana Pagkapanan Panawi Patanga me Kamut me Tanganga on Ni
And when they got there, they found out why they were asked to take the note to governor's office. Ladling is supposed to receive his punishment for bothering Allborn's wife. They tie this Ladling on the table and crank it.
Just grabbed the guy, strung him up, and bull-whipped him. Shredded his back with the whip.
But the beating got so bad that the Ladling couldn't walk after that, and he was bleeding. So Madao had to, help him and take him to their canoe, and paddle back down to Sokehs. And as they were approaching the coastline at Molok, Shakaran Molok, those people at Imunsane who were doing the road construction noticed that the guy was lying on the center platform of the canoe. He couldn't move. So they all dropped what they were doing and then walked over to where the canoe, right where the Protestant church is located right now. And they saw how this guy was treated like animal. He was bleeding from neck all the way down to his feet. So Samadao and Sokehs told those people, say, today we're gonna stop working on the road. Something has gone wrong. We need to decide what we need to do next. So that was it. That was the end of the road construction. Everybody left.
Rano ito, Sokehs, we will get lit. Pergi, lahat ng kam-kam. Kaparang kan we o kau-kawit, marabanu wong, menjeman kan. Benan kamatubo. Tana, sumatawin Sokehs, pagkairong yang akan, we are talking and mandaras man.
They built their home, killed a very large pig, and before it was cooked, as soon as they covered it, they opened it up, and they cut it to small pieces, and they made a pact right there that they would fight to the death.
And one of the questions from Salmata was, any of you young people or people from Sokehs who gathered there, who wanted to fight with me, will eat this piece of raw pork.
Holborn, the German overseer, was surprised the next morning when he arrived at the road construction site.
Holborn folk whistle, Chinmata, Mega Imabarata. Irama Sagrada. Pergi kay mole, we are called couple from Kano. Krepin was in Cosik, like a wrong all of us upon Some Miam machine you me Tanpe, Nan Anzo, or Patriman Apathy mission, Tanarokla Nan mission. Oh, and so me irrelevant mission na padre o ira song yang tuan raban pakai tong kalileki kapaname tame wia ira ta pakai siligo o kiyang manakap riman makin tatok na station mission but Bruno was the one bringing the letter. Supposed to bring the letter to the governor, but he didn't succeed because Samadao and his partners cut him off and sent it back. Hari amamon memiya mepakair tong kamna likin mana kapriyaman mewakis dito. But mulangan sa uyo portion officer sa ikot lang wapindan be governor o na secretary Omen motlop kay may tan.
Well, that's why the governor went to Sokehs, because the construction had stopped for a few days. So the governor wanted to go down and negotiate with Wasai, who was the head of the chiefdom. And the day that he went down to see Wasai Sokehs, Samadown Sokehs had already gone to a place called Nalupur, also in Sokehs. There was a pile of rocks. It was a foundation of a residence. And they sat on those rocks waiting for the governor to walk up the trail from Taipei. As soon as they see the sight of the governor walking up with his assistant, Samuel aimed his gun at him and fired.
That man pointed the gun at the governor, but he was kind of nervous. Couldn't shut it. So Sabatao took the gun from him and then killed the governor.
Ariolo ekismain sansuat estono main kakang kaski kena atual kasko ya rar asamaton Sokehs makata kaski yolo.
There were conflicting accounts of who actually killed the governor, and I guess we will never know the truth about it, but it may have been Somata or Samuel.
And they started running back toward Taipei. There was a point where you turn and then the road was straight so you can see Taipei area. And there were a bunch of men who were already waiting for them there with machetes. And so they couldn't continue to run on the road. So they have to jump off the road, jump into in the mangrove swamp. And as they hit the mangrove swamp, these Pohnpeian were already on top of them. And the assistant had to abandon the governor. They chopped up this German governor with their machetes. And some of them pursued his assistant going out the mangrove swamp. So before the man was able to reach the other side of the mangrove swamp, he was already swamped with those Pohnpeian with all their machetes.
The body of the governor was not taken out immediately, so they probably did some horrible things and just leave the body there.
After they shot that governor, a Nuguran man swam all the way from Taipei to that long reef, and then went to mission.
Holborn and his German assistant Hefner were also killed, along with 5 more Laquis, when they left the Sokehs priest's house and tried to flee by canoe.
I heard that some of the Germans tried to hide from these Sokehs people in the church at Taipei. They were hidden by a priest.
After that, they all went up to Wasai's Nas and they had some sakao speeches were given, and all these speeches were plans on how, or strategies as to what they were going to do next. So apparently they all decided that those who are willing to fight would have to go up on top of the Sokehs cliff so that they can stay there. I guess they thought that they could build up stone walls to fight against the German when they sent in their troops.
Meanwhile, the other Europeans on the island took refuge in the colony, which had been fortified by the Spaniards years before. Dr. Gershner, the acting German governor, appealed to the chiefs of the other kingdoms for help in guarding the colony against the Sokehs people. Each of the kingdoms sent 100 men to assist.
I think that the non-Marxists were supporting, but not overtly. Why I said I feel that way? Because they are against the Germans trying to take away their power over the people.
But there is clear evidence that as soon as the rebellion erupted, a lot of them from all other chiefdoms came to the colony with their own rifles and stuff to help secure the colony. Sokehs people were never liked during those days because they were very hostile toward other people. Hostile in the sense that they control two channels here. One is the one separating Sokehs Island and the main island. And people from Kitchi or people from other places would shorten their trip if they go through these channels. But sometimes these block this channel and not allow them to, pass through there.
Apparently, if you come on a canoe and then you paddle through their channel, then make sure you're prepared. Because when you meet up with another canoe, you fight for your right of way.
The Sokehs warriors found refuge at the top of Sokehs Cliff, where they built a fortress of rocks. There they remained, even as German ships began arriving with troops during the next month or two. Finally, there were 5 German warships in harbor with enough troops and weapons to begin a full campaign against Sokehs.
Those who wanted to be involved in the rebellion, all of them got together on top of the cliff. See, they even had binoculars so that they can stay there and watch what's going on in the colony. And while they were up there, apparently a few weeks, there was this gunner boat that came in all the way to between Niseitam and Sokehs and fired a cannon up there. A guy was climbing a tree so that he can have a clear view of the colony, not knowing that those people had their powerful binoculars had already detected where he was. And the ship fired one shot and hit the bottom of the tree and blew up the tree, and the guy went with it. But there was another boat that came in with black people. And that ship brought in some black people. And those black people were sent to the channel. They surrounded the island so the people from Sokehs cannot escape into the mainland. They couldn't do it in group, they couldn't do it during the daytime. So they did that by sending few people at a time. They dive when it's high tide, so that they can dive under the water all the way to the other side in the mangrove swamp and then crawl up. They plan it so that every night 3 or 4 people would cross, 5 or 7 would cross, so that at different part of the channel, so that the Melanesian wouldn't be able to, detect that they were already crossing. They didn't have many bullets to fight with. So they have to sneak into town. And the cave? Apparently that cave is an old cave. The cave that is under legislative building? That's where they kept their munition. And so my grandfather and this guy went there, and they had to kill a Melanesian sentryman so that they can get in there and get some bullet. But they can only grab a handful. They didn't get much out of it.
The German troops began their assault on the peak of Sokehs Island, where the insurgents had dug in to resist the attack. During their ascent, the German troops were under constant fire, but when they finally took the summit, they found that the Sokehs men had slipped away.
They built up walls and waited for the German to approach. As the German and the Melanesian, soldiers were scaling the cliff, they cut their rope and then rolled down the stones and hit some of those people who were scaling. That's one of the only defense, by rolling these boulders down against the Melanesian soldiers and the German officers.
Vamos a puino l'elbo sono dopo sull'armi. Retangar urti wani dalam valia kotre dom ko
For the next month, the German forces pursued the remnants of the Sokehs warriors around the island.
Retang pasamo dalawa sa koros. Miyamala madalanim dalawa tawlul. And so retang-tangir el soko.
Re kosane ma arai tungal penene bugasama arai tungal penene pato yana ni. Ari sama to so guys pato wan mia tungal penene me lam pato na.
They did visit the Tugunban by clan members in all of the municipalities, but it was toward the end when the people, their clan members, realized that there was no point of giving them any assistance. It's a dead end.
The insurgents no longer had their heart in the fight. Each day, a few of the fugitives turned themselves in to the Germans, until in mid-February 1911, the last of the Sokehs fugitives surrendered.
The islands, either Zabak or Mantor, the final decision was made, or at least the Tugunban from that area advised them to stop. Just stop fighting.
Was arrested. I believe they came down on their own. There's no way for you to get away with this.
Within a few days of the surrender of the last of the Sokehs men, the Germans tried and convicted 17 of the leaders of the uprising. They then led the condemned men to an old cemetery outside the colony, lined them up in front of a mass grave, and executed them by firing squad. The execution occurred on February 24th, 1911.
That decisions were made that the 17 people will be executed. 15 or 17. Samuel and his followers, relatives, were to be exiled. February 23rd, that was the date that the rebels were allowed to go to church before they died. Most of them are Catholic. Only one is a Protestant.
Well, I know that there was a young boy who was executed in place of his clansman.
He was shorter than the others, very short, that they put him on a box to be in level with the other people.
There was a story I heard, I guess from my grandfather, who said there was, before the Somadao and his fellow rebels were executed, Somadao was concerned about him wearing Western pants. I mean, his clothes were not washed.
Somadao was the one who wanted to change his clothes. The younger one said, "This is enough. We are in our men's clothes, so we can die right now."
When he came and looked down at So-So, there was water and he said, they were very brave up to the moment they were shot. They know what's coming, but they didn't shut down their mouth. They were talking.
They were shot at Colonial by the soldiers from New Guinea. One lady he came from Tomarolo in Kiti, Tomarolo, near Saint War, where the Catholic Church is. Because one of his sons, maybe, sons or brother, was with those that were to be shot, killed. When she reached Tolan here, she heard the guns, sound of the guns. She fainted.
The remainder of the Sokehs inhabitants, some 426 people, were exiled to Palau. Their land was confiscated and given away to others.
Everyone was vanished to Palau, I think. And the landmark must have been with them. Everyone in Sokehs left the island.
Well, not all of the Sokehs people. After the rebellion, those people who were involved in one way or another, especially the Palau and the Tiburbanani, they were banished from Sokehs. After that, they were replaced by people from Penglap, people from the Morlap. There was a story about a family in Sokehs, and they were allowed to stay there, and I think the family is still there because they took care of one of the hands of the governor.
My great-grandmother, Sikudo's wife, took the palm, buried it, and took the ring off. And after the war, they were looking for the ring, and they found out that my great-grandmother was the one who buried it.
Ima lata men pon pe korus kalbilip tasang Sokehs. Sapul men mon sapun Sokehs penay kalip na santi ang nanamoy sap.
When they went on a ship, when they went to Yap, while they were waiting for the ship to continue on, all the able men were made to work in whatever public works project that German were doing in Yap, until the ship is ready to, depart. Then they get back on the ship, and they would go to, and then they would continue on to Palau. They were taken to Palau, and were taken to Imilik, and they were told, this is where you're going to settle. They plot out, a tract of lands for people to start building their thatch houses. stuff like that.
They were first sent to Yap, and then from Yap to Palau. I heard that in Yap they were sharing one small bowl of rice among maybe 4 people. But after a while, those who were exiled to Palau, they could plant things, and later on, they started harvesting their own produce.
My uncle was born in Aimalik, but my father was born here. He was a little boy when they were exiled. When the Japanese came in, Japanese representative went there and made an announcement that all those people who were then in Aimalik who wanted to return to Pohnpei, they may do so. But they require them to have relatives from here to go to Palau so they can identify their relatives, put them on the ship and bring them back to Pohnpei.
One family that I know of, to Palau, they came back and resettled their own land or their relatives' land in Sokehs, in Palakar, not the main island of Sokehs. And if you go to Palau, you will also find their relatives there. Some of those people married and they have families established there.
Na markin Palau kasapa-sapa min Sokehs ka. Rebellion sabo yung panene yung montit mimilel ranot. Loyala min Palau. Aluwa koros ko burburot. Relel bon be sola sa bural Sokehs. Arab wala rin arpenene nang wait.
Sokehs is going through a political revolution. Traditional political revolution, in a sense that the monarchy title was bestowed during the Japanese time. And prior to that, you have different clans trying to claim the leadership of Sokehs, especially Sokehs Island. And they had to wait until 1940s for the monarchy in Sokehs to be bestowed.
When I came to junior high school in Colonial Intermediate, there was a Micronesian police still alive, staying in town. Anat is the name. I came to school here in 1959, and Anat was still walking around Colonial doing the marches. When he was kind of, because when we asked him to do how they march during the German time, he would do the march.
Our colony is fallen apart. It is the time the outside languages came to our island. It started from the outer islands of Pohnpei all the way down to outer islands of Duke, even Yap. Because they started moving in. But when I think back, it's really injustice what the Germans did to the Sokehs people. What can Germans do to help out the real Sokehs people? Now they are scattered around in Palakar. They are scattered around. One day, something's going to be happened in return of what happened to those natives of Sokehs.
Ekono, way chorus and kasambal ki rebellion day. Rebellion ki kaidegin me got me pit sa cause. Rebellion ki me got me pit Holland Bombay man. Rebellion ki me got me pit Saran Tiakan Bombay. Hari kamel me. Ekono, way chorus Bombay and yang kasambal ki. Sokehs Rebellion Day, o en Buyana holiday in Pohnpei.